Howdy, folks. How's it going? John Bowden here from Rocky Stream Music. I got to adjust this thing here to see if we can. We're trying out our mic that I usually use, Insta Voice mic. No, not what's it called? Electro Voice. We're trying out our mic to make sure that it works on live broadcast. We've never used it on live broadcast. This is probably the first time. We've used it whenever I do it in the studio here where I record my radio show. I usually use it, but not on live broadcast. So let me know, folks, if you can hear me. Would be not good if you can't hear me. Can you hear me with this microphone? I can't really tell. Can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me, everybody? Yep. Thanks, Linda. Appreciate it. I'm just going to move this a little bit. Yeah. I've never used it on a live broadcast. And look at Ultimate Classic Rock. I've been doing the Jesse Cullen Young interview today. And while I was doing that and doing research for it, I usually do research at the last minute. So it's fresh in my mind. Sometimes people, when they see me do an interview, they go, well, are you checking out your phone? No, I'm looking at my freaking notes. So I try to stay away from reading my notes if I do the research just before. Yes. One of my favorite sites because they're succinct, they're straight to the point, Ultimate Classic Rock. Greetings from Brazil. Hello. I can hear you. I can hear you way from Brazil. Hey, folks. Nice to have you. Anyway, I saw this today and I got excited. Jimmy Page says Led Zeppelin planned harder, trickier ninth album, which would have been the follow-up to In Through the Outdoor. I remember I graduated in 79. I was 19 years old. I missed grade 2 because I was all French going into an English school. So I failed grade 2. Oh, sorry. Anyway, I always make the comparisons between the Eagles and Led Zeppelin. Totally different bands. I get it. But in 79, The Long Run was out, and In Through the Outdoor was out, and there was as much hoopla for one as the other. I have to admit I liked In Through the Outdoor a lot more than The Long Run. A highly anticipated album by the Eagles. Not that I want to compare them, but when you look at it, the Eagles, 8 albums, and Led Zeppelin, 8 albums in their time span. Of course, 29 years later, what was it, 29 years? 28 years, they released A Long Road Out of Eden, the Eagles. But in this, to get back to the original point, some people were giving me hell the other day when I was in my car because I wasn't getting to the point. I just said it was a live chat. Remember the watercolor for what? Northern Kentucky. I've never been to Kentucky. I've been to a lot of the western states. I would get into my car. We'll get to Zeppelin in a sec. I would get into my car and I would just drive to the southern states, the western states. Oregon, obviously, Washington, because I lived in Vancouver at the time. So we would go to Washington at least once a month. Usually, anybody know Bellis Fair Mall on the coast? Hello from Phoenix. I have so many friends in Phoenix. It's crazy. The album was watercolor. Oh, okay. Anyway, In Through the Outdoor, Jimmy Page talks. I'm not going to just hold off with the comments for a second. Yeah, I'm telling you to shut up. Not really, no. But I can't read them. Jimmy Page just talked to Rolling Stone magazine. And they were talking to what would have happened after In Through the Outdoor, which was a heavily big John Paul Jones album. And I liked In Through the Outdoor. Carousel Lembra, I thought the long piece on there, I just loved the album. I thought it was a good new beginning for the band who wanted to restructure themselves a little bit. But Jimmy Page says that the album after that was going to be a harder hitting album. He says, I thought I knew how this In Through the Outdoor is shaping up, but the next album is going to be a departure from the keyboards. We had a bit of an idea of what we might do, but basically, I'm paraphrasing here. It was not going to be a keyboard album. There were going to be keyboards on it. But anyway, I'm paraphrasing. He's saying that the next album, they were going to go back to a heavier sound, which if you think of the trajectory and just going around and touching this, how Led Zeppelin 3 was more of an acoustic kind of overall of an album. It's just telling me I slept well last night. On my iPhone. I think all fans would have loved that if John Paul Jones wouldn't have died. Hey, Rita, are you guys saying hi to each other? John Bonham made Zepp. Well, yes and no. I think all the parts were important. It was a moment in time. It's like the Beatles thing, man. When you talk about that, you're going. It was just like I was only 11 years old when Zeppelin 4 came out, and I remember hearing Zeppelin 4 when I went to concerts, and I would hear them, and I'd go, "Wow, that's kind of scary, interesting music," because it had so many things in Zeppelin 4, but all Zeppelin albums had so many things, especially Physical Graffiti, which was a double album. Some people thought an artist just told me the other day, who was it? I think one of the guys from Klaatu, I'm not positive, had said that. I think it was John from Klaatu. The whole was greater than the sum. Yeah, that's true. All bands, you know what I mean? But he had said that he thought Physical Graffiti should have been a single album. I like Physical Graffiti. Usually with double albums, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road's another one. Live album Frampton, but live albums tend to be double albums. Um, I'm glad they were all double albums. I missed that comment. It's come and gone. So what do you think? The problem with stories like that, you go into the what if category, right? But I couldn't help myself, and I don't do a lot of what if. Physical Graffiti was their best. You know what? That and 4 to me were their best. But I was 15. Presence is the best. Wow. I don't hear that a lot with Presence. I found that Presence was thin, not only in songs, but also in sound. I thought Presence had a production feel. It didn't have enough bottom end to it. Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Perfect example of a double album that, deserved to be a double album. I mean, we're going to ramble off a little bit here, but I was just telling my wife, who's leaving for work, Shannon, a lot of you know her from Friday Night Live, and going, I have to go do this. See, another one, a CV, Barton, Burton? Sorry, I can't see the writings too. No keyboards on Presence. I don't know if I've actually knew that. But to me, it was Zeppelin 4. Like I said, I would go to concerts, my first few concerts when I was 13 years old, which would have been 2 years after Zeppelin 4 was released. And I would be standing in front of the auditorium and someone next door with big speakers on the roof or something, or on the porch, I forget. It's in my journal. I wrote everything down. Would be playing Zeppelin 4. And finally I asked somebody, how come every time I go to a concert, the Firm album had some possible Zeppelin tracks? Really? Oh, yeah. There was a lot of things going on with the band, hey, during Presence. Yeah, a lot of hardships for the band. But finally I asked someone and I said, what was best for me? A lot of people are saying Presence was their favorite. Wow. I'm surprised. But anyway, with the news today that came out of Rolling Stone and Ultimate Classic Rock just paraphrased it a little bit for us, that you go into what would have happened with Zeppelin if John Bonham wouldn't have died? Like, you dare to go there. And I haven't gone there in so long. It's like when John Lennon died, my first thought was in 1980, December 8th, that, there won't be a Beatles reunion. That was my first thought, of being totally selfish as a fan. And when Bonham died, I was just in plain shock. I knew he lived the rock and roll lifestyle. Oh, I'm missing your comments. An album for every mood. Yes, thank you. Well put. I didn't read that. Led Zeppelin 2 is the best. I was going to give my girlfriend, who's a good friend of mine now in high school, Dawn, who thought she introduced me to Zeppelin, but she didn't. She reintroduced me to a deeper understanding of Zeppelin. Anyway, Dawn, I was going to give her a Zeppelin 2 for a present, but then she broke up with me first. Damn you, Dawn. No, it's okay. Turned out good. Turned good. Hard time for the band in 1976, but the sound was powerful. Nor keyboard. No, there you go. I didn't like Zeppelin 1 for the longest time. I couldn't get into it. And then my son a few years ago, and I know that's sacrilegious to say that about Zeppelin 1. I mean, I just thought it was too bluesy. And my friends were going, yeah, but the Zeppelin was all blues, stolen riffs here and there and all that stuff. I'm going, I don't know why that I wasn't ready for that form of blues from Led Zeppelin, so I went back and got it. You guys hate me. Jethro Tull, what? I missed that. Sorry. I was just saying yesterday in our broadcast, was it yesterday or the day before, that I see more than you guys. Actually, you guys see more than me because right now you're probably seeing everything right here. I only see what's coming up right now. House of the Holy, no blues songs. Yeah, see, House of the Holy I only bought after Led Zeppelin had broken up. I can't read that. A lot of stuff come up on my. Someone was asking me what those lights are and what that clock is. California 103 is a radio station I was the program director of, and they're going, it's always stuck on that time. It clicks and it makes noise, and I don't use it as a clock. We've got like Apple Watches and iPhones and iPads. We don't. So people were asking, what's that clicking I hear? So I had to take the battery out, or I think it died. The Zepp bar set the bar way too high. To me, the Beatles were always the greatest band of all time, but the greatest rock band was Led Zeppelin. People always say, "Oh, you love Toto and Genesis." Yes, and Zeppelin was not my favorite band, but my favorite rock band was Zeppelin. Zeppelin 3. Again, Zeppelin 3 I got into much later. To me, it was always Zeppelin 2. It was Zeppelin 4. I should have got it before I got here. My friend Carrie bought her way into the reunion show, and she bought her way backstage, and she got me an autograph Zeppelin 4. I can't get up because I wish I could show you. I've got too much, but I've shown it to you before in concert. All the, when I do the interviews, all the albums, not these, but the albums on that wall over there, they're all autographed, even though you can't see their autograph, but everything on that wall is autographed. Most of those I got myself, others I've traded for. Okay, Zepp was the greatest rock band, but Tull was the greatest progressive band. Yeah, not for me, but you're right. Everyone's right when it comes to music. No one's wrong. Do you think that any of you think that Zeppelin wouldn't have continued, even if John would have lived? I don't think there's a lot of people. Jesse Colin Young this morning. I was talking to him about Jimmy Page. And the Youngbloods, by the way, opened up for Zeppelin earlier on in their career. And as a lot of you know, Darkness, Darkness was recorded solo by Robert Plant. I got a mental blank there. Robert Plant was, I think, nominated for a Grammy for that album. And one day, Jesse Colin Young from the Youngbloods is driving, or he's in the back of a limousine or something. What was his story? You just told it to me. No. God, my brain. Robert Plant was in the back of a car or limousine or something. And he calls Jesse Colin Young and says, "Hey, man, Darkness, Darkness, I just love that song." A lot of people have recorded that song. And Jesse's going, "Is this really Robert Plant? What? Huh?" Because, again, the Youngbloods had opened for Robert Plant for Led Zeppelin. What the hell's wrong with my brain today? I got up really early today. And he couldn't believe it. He was saying how much, Robert Plant was saying to Jesse how much he loved the song and how much he was a fan of the Youngbloods. And I asked Jesse this morning, my son's cutting up the interview right now. It's 2 hours. He and I talked for a long time about a lot of bands from that era. And he was great. We talked track by track for Jesse's new album, which is being released in November. And I said, when you opened for Zeppelin, did you stay for the show? And he says, no, I was kind of a snob he says, I looked at them as metal-ish kind of music. And they opened for Zeppelin. Zeppelin wasn't there at the time when they opened for them. They got into the auditorium late, of course. And neither one listened to the other one's set. But that was and then his son educated Jesse to Led Zeppelin and how important they were. Amazing. Have Robert Plant, call you up and say, "Hey, man, I'm digging your stuff." Message retracted. Oh, what did you, Stonewall Jackson, what did you write? Why, yada. Robert Plant's great fan of Arthur Lee and Love. Yeah. We're doing a thing right now on our sister channel. If you guys haven't supported our sister channel, might want to consider. We've got a lot of videos coming out in the next. I'm 13 videos behind of something that Jason, my writer, has just wrote for us on just biggest Australian bands, biggest bands out of Chicago. Just a lot of stories like that. One hit wonders, two hit wonders. We're just doing a lot of that kind of evergreen product for our sister channel. Rock History Music, this channel is more of what's happening right now, right? And interviews. On our sister channel, for those who complain that I chop up my interviews too much, we're going to put the whole interviews on Rock History Book. Not that one over there. Rock History Channel. I don't want to do what that other guy does. He's always. Yes, but the albums would be far apart. Stonewall Jackson. What did you say a while ago? Did you retract your comment? Oh, you probably said something. It's not what you meant. I thought for a second there YouTube took your comment off. I wrote this thing about Zeppelin 4 a few years ago for the Rock History Book site before it was hacked. And my thing about Zeppelin 4 was, and everyone was talking about it because around the time Physical Graffiti came out, a lot of my friends were finally getting into, and Physical Graffiti was 75, Zeppelin 4 was 71. But around that time, all my friends were catching up to Zeppelin 4. And at that time, when I was 15, I started writing some notes on Zeppelin 4 because I was intrigued by the different types of, there was so much going on there. And I started finishing it a few years ago for the Rock History Book before it was hacked website. It's not up anymore. It was hacked very badly. We lost a lot of stuff. And my thing was, coming from a Catholic upbringing, there was something almost sacrilege. I mean, we were kind of afraid of the album. Remember the line, "There's still time to change the road you're on"? If you flip that backwards, the backward masking is supposed to say, "Here's to my sweet Satan." It was that line. I mean, it's interesting that I think that's just baloney now, looking back at it. It's like what is it? Snowblind song from Styx. Yeah, it's like that song was supposed to have some backwards stuff. It's just coincidence that it happens to sound like something. But that all added to that folklore of, the darkness and the black dog, and even though there was just a dog out there when they were recording the album, a big black dog. Turn Me On, Dead Man, Revolution 9. Yeah, the Beatles. And a lot of people were playing. I think some people were playing around with it. When I just talked to Klaatu, the three guys in Klaatu, there was a part of me of going, we're kind of talking to them going, come on, you kind of knew that. You must have known. Come on, you must have known people were going to think you were the Beatles. On closer listen, you could tell that wasn't Paul McCartney or that wasn't John Lennon. But it did sound like them. But anyone who really knew the Beatles would know that wasn't them, unless John and Paul specifically tried to change their own voices. But anyway, that hurt Klaatu. But I'm saying that because of, when you think there's a wink in their eye and they're playing with you, like a lot of Beatles covers, Paul is Dead. That Machine Head, Zeppelin 2, 3, and 4. God, I wish there was a way I could keep the comments on there a little faster so I could read them. Because they're coming up sometimes way too fast. Sometimes I'll have like 10. So anyway, what do you think about another Zeppelin album? Some of the Death Wish 2 would have been Zepp's next. Yes, I heard that too. Yeah. You can't help but wonder, though, right, what would have happened. And that's why I wanted to come on live and think, geez, imagine that. Imagine if there was like an alternate universe. Again, going back to the Klaatu guys, I went, without the Beatles rumor, don't you think that album would have been, that Steve Smith writer who wrote, I think from where was he from? New Hampshire? A rock salad band atop mixed things, blah, 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 yeah. Well, I looked at Physical Graffiti in some ways, not like the White Album, but I looked at the different styles like that. I haven't heard the Death Wish 2 soundtrack. I haven't heard that in a long time. It's been so I wouldn't even be able to reference anything off that. I had a fan who was a huge Robert Plant fan and a Jimmy Page fan. And he used to play me a lot of different stuff, outtakes and bootlegs and the Berlin concert, which was the last Led Zeppelin show, remember? It's interesting if you've never listened to that Berlin show to listen to it and oh, Who's to Blame would have been a good Zeppelin song. Thank you. It's interesting to listen to that Berlin show and imagine that that was the last time as Led Zeppelin with John Bonham. It's online. Listen to it because you can't help but listen to it with different types of ears. You can't listen to that show without having some kind of ominous, weird feeling to the fact that they didn't know. You know, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow or in an hour or in a minute. Some guy asked me the other day because I interview a lot of older rock stars. Do you ever think someone's going to have a heart attack when you interview them? Going, no, that's never occurred to me. But don't put that in my head. I don't think that way. That somehow I'd be interviewing some old rock star and they'd keel over and pass on. I'm going, I don't want to think about that. You know, that you don't in the fact that you never know what's going to happen any moment, or else you're the last person to interview someone before they pass on. I'm going, no, that doesn't really matter. I don't care about stuff like that. You know, hey, if I interviewed someone, it was their last interview. Of course I'd say it, but you never go into an interview with that. I don't think that. Most of the guys lately, like Jesse Colin Young today, you know, he has Lyme disease and he has he thinks for a minute about what he's saying. But man, Jesse was just on. He was remembering dates and times and people around him, and it was amazing. And yeah, we got some great sound bites for Get Together. And he had never heard the Kingston Trio's version of it when he recorded it. He told me the moment he heard the song, and he was good for the visual of Led Zeppelin, the fact that they were opening for Led Zeppelin. There were a few bands he thought on that show. And was very open about the fact that he was a little ignorant, going, yeah, I don't really care. I don't care about Led Zeppelin. Because he was a folksy kind of guy. He loved the blues, was heavily influenced by that. Would have used gated drums or the drum machine. I don't think they would have, no. Not with John Bonham in the band. He had mentioned, Jimmy Page, in this story that John wanted to play that like heavy drums of someone would have said, hey, what's going on there? You know? And Bonham was one of those guys because he was a big thrasher in some ways, but technically he was pretty amazing. There was a drumming teacher online who had mentioned John Bonham. He says, with John and Keith Moon, some of the stuff they did, you can't notate necessarily because they were playing on the fly. Through the Outdoor has John Paul Jones written all over it. Yes, it does. That's for sure. Well, a lot of people say it's the John Paul Jones. If there's going to be a Led Zeppelin John Paul Jones album, you know, with all the keyboards. But I like the keyboards on Carousel. I thought that was amazing. Sang Death Wish songs, particularly Who's to Blame. I didn't know that. Thanks for all the information. You guys rock. I mean, Chris Farlow. If Led Zeppelin could have continued, they would have followed through the outdoor. It's gone already. See, if you give me a message and the next message comes in too fast, I miss out on it. Yes, I do. We're thinking of forming a different type of club for rock history music, by the way. I'm going to wrap up. I don't like staying more than 30 minutes. Can you hear the bathroom? Why, I oughta. How dare someone upstairs go to the bathroom? Greetings from a soggy, wet New York. Elliot, how you doing? I lived in Vancouver from 89 to 2002. I knew all about wet, soggy. Someone said something about Genesis and Phil Collins. John Paul Jones. He was a great arranger. Oh, the professor of rock. Yeah. I don't know how he got all those interviews during the pandemic. I don't know how he did that, or unless they're older interviews. I don't know. He does good, really nice work. Colin Jost and Scarlett Johansson just got married according to TMZ. That has nothing to do with Led Zeppelin. All of My Love, Carousel, best songs on In Through the Outdoor. Yeah, two of the best songs. Carousel was always my favorite song. Everett, Washington. I have been there. I've been to a lot of places in Washington because I lived in Vancouver. Like I said, from 89 to 2002. So we would always cross the border and go to Bellis Fair Mall and go to Olympia and go to Vancouver, Washington. Agreed. Love in the evening. I liked in the evening too. Great way to start off an album. Dun-dun-dun-dun. I'm going to crawl. Last Abbot of the Blues. Well put. Sorry, I didn't mean to cough in your ear. I'm feeling a little overcast lately. I'm not sure why. Last night I had a sinus thing going on. The only thing that could cure it is a little bit of scotch. Yeah, I slept deeply last night. John Paul Jones does the string arrangements for REM's song Night Swimming. Sidewinder sleeps tonight. I didn't know that. REM is one of those bands I could never listen to. I don't know what it is. Maybe it was Michael's voice. Well, a lot of it was Michael's voice, I thought. Greta Van Fleet, I like them. Speaking of voices, I'm not the biggest fan of the vocalist, but I'm getting to like him more. Thoughts on Toto's news? I'm glad they're back together. As soon as they release a press release, I text Steve Lukather. He got back to me the next morning, wrote me. He always writes me these long texts, which I love. Love that guy. And he explained a lot of stuff, some off the record, some on the record. Basically, he wants to tour. And musicians need the money to tour. And, the lawsuit was hard on the guys. Whose vocals are cringeworthy? Oh, Michael Stipe. I don't Cat Stevens' debut album, Matthew and Son, John Paul Jones plays bass. I didn't know that. Thank you. Love the information you guys give me. Sometimes when I'm doing heavy research on a project, I'll go, I got to get rid of that. I like what the younger generation appreciates the sound of good rock and roll. Some of the young generation does. Excuse me. As a lot of you know, Miley Cyrus, some of you really like Miley. Say, oh, give her a chance. She's so great. After she did that thingamajiggy with, was it Robin Thicke? I told myself, never again. I will never give that woman any time. I'm giving her time right now. There's certain people. Someone was asking me yesterday when we were doing the podcast, the live broadcast, who don't you like? And I could only think of Kelly Ripa. I says, can't watch Kelly Ripa. I have nothing against her personally. I don't know her. I can't watch her. Miley Cyrus is one of those. Demi Lovato is another one of going, I don't care. Good. Hey, have fun. Go do it over there. All the power to you. No, I never want to have coffee with either one of you. I'm never going to be interested in what you're up to. What was that thing she did, Miley? I don't forget what it was called. That stupid dance. Anyway, Physical Graffiti was their best work. So many people say that. And I keep changing my mind, as I mentioned a while ago, between 4 and Physical Graffiti. That was just my, 4 years apart, those two albums. So did wonderful rendition of Take It to the Limit. Yeah, I know. Kelly Ripa. Kelly Ripa is just one of those women that you don't want to get stuck in an elevator with. You just think that she'll talk your ear off. I'm not going to say that out loud. You guys. You guys are awesome. What the heck? Anyway, I never got a chance to see Zeppelin playing bass. Producer, arranger, Donovan sang Mellow Yellow. I remember Mellow Yellow. Never liked that song. No, just busting your chops. Thanks, Lee. You wouldn't be the first one. I missed that. Sorry. I can see. Oh, there's Shannon leaving for work. I just heard her. Is weaker than House of the Holy. Yeah, a lot of people would say In Through the Outdoors weaker than House of the Holy, of course. Any plans for David Coverdale soon? No, I tried for him last year. Was looking to talking to him about a lot of projects, of course, we all know he did, but it fell through. Sometimes things fall through for no apparent reason. Just purchase a gem on vinyl before Van Halen rehearsed their first album. Oh, what was it? Can you say that again? What gem was it? Grunge in the 70s. Yeah. You guys are a plethora of information. I appreciate all your comments. I learned a lot. Has anybody heard from Alex? I think Alex had a tweet. Alex Van Halen. I think he had a tweet that he released. As we mentioned the other day on our live broadcast, I didn't want to bleed. I didn't want to bleed that to death. It was an EP from their first album. Oh, okay. We didn't want to basically go in and do 9 features on Eddie Van Halen, or we thought of doing the best Van Halen songs or the most successful Van Halen songs or the hidden gems of Van Halen. And my gut just kept saying, don't bleed this to death. Just leave it alone. You did a live broadcast. You did the announcement, which got almost 500,000 views. Just leave it, you know. Fate of Nations, the best Robert Plant album. I had problems with Robert Plant's solo stuff. You know, when I first heard things like I'm in the mood for a melody, I'm going, he's just kind of repeating the same words over and over again. And I want to like it more. And I like it more now than I did then. I remember going, it needs to be, it sounds demo-ish to me. Did you hear Robert Plant had a quote the other day? He said that at first he was kind of embarrassed of his solo albums. I think what he's doing now, even though some Zeppelin fans might not want him to do that stuff with Alison Krauss or that genre of music, he's really enjoying himself. So I want him to be happy. Oh God, so many comments are coming up. I can't keep up with them. Ship of Fools, best solo song. Yes, well put, Dwayne. I totally agree with that. Robert Plant's solo material got better and better. There's a few missteps here, but every artist has that. And I like where he's at. I like the fact that when you listen to Robert Plant now doing the stuff he's doing, the bluegrassy stuff, it doesn't sound like Robert Plant. And I love that. I'm going, there's a different side that he probably always had or he perfected. Freaking freezing down here. I'm in my basement. I'm like this. I'm freezing. And I've got one of those little Costco heaters there. But the dishes, do you guys have that? And it makes that noise. Sounds like a bee, like a mosquito's in the room. So I'm afraid that the microphone would pick it up, even though it's very directional, this microphone. You can't hit those high notes anymore. Yeah, he just sounds very different, and I like it. Led Zeppelin 3. Thank you, Dwayne. Thank you. Good point about Zeppelin 3 and where he's at now. Isn't that interesting how things go full circle sometimes? For anyone who missed it, I just interviewed Jesse Colin Young for 3 from the Youngbloods Get Together. Classic song. They didn't write that, but it had many lives before even the Youngbloods got it, like the Kingston Trio recorded the song. But it was a Youngbloods version that really like solidified the history of that song. But he talked about they opened for Led Zeppelin. I'll mention this around because we're getting a lot of new people coming in here to talk. He mentioned that they opened for Led Zeppelin and he didn't want to listen to the Zeppelin as soon as they were finished their set. He said, Zeppelin, that's kind of metal-y stuff. He probably didn't use that term back then because I don't think the term was the term metal. That's not that's a newer term. Back in the early 70s, I don't think when was the term metal? Did anyone know? Invented. But anyway, he's referencing that time saying, my favorite Robert Plant song after Zepp is Shine All Around. Mm-hmm. Andrew Gold, we've got, you know what, I'm switching. Does anyone know what a NAS system is, NAS? We've just got a server and we're putting all, and it's a great NAS. It's got like 8 bays for normal hard drives and 6 bays for SSD solid state drives. It's like we paid a lot of money for this thing. I've been saving for it for a long time. And we want all our interviews to be in one place. And that's the reason we've got so many reel-to-reels. That's my beauty right down here. This is a beauty. You can't really see it. It's a Stewart. My boss gave it to me. It's worth $10,000, but he sold it to me for $1,000. And the head's really good, so it's really worth $10,000. But anyway, we've got a lot of reel-to-reels over there with a lot of people, and we're going to put them on slowly. We have a goal on the income we want to make on this channel. we have a goal, and we're hoping to reach that by May on how much all our channels. We have 4: Rock History Music, Rock History Book, Rock History Canada, and Nail Sheet, which is more of an entertainment thing because I like reporting on entertainment, but I don't want to sound like Entertainment Tonight because when I watch Entertainment Tonight, I want to throw heavy things at the TV screen because those kind of broadcasters for all those entertainment shows, they're not my cup of tea. Thanks, Captain. I'm not sure what that means. Missed the Friday Night Live broadcast. The reason we stopped, Timothy, we stopped doing it is because I didn't like having the pressure of having to have someone on there. And a lot of you have said, and you were really nice about it, saying, well, if you don't have a guest, then why don't you just come on, right? Shannon would always get very stressed out before the Friday Night Live broadcast, and by the time she sat down, she was very. It's like, okay, you and your partner, you're getting all stressed out because you got to go to a party, not during COVID, but. Remember, you'd always get stressed out. Oh my God, I don't want to go to this party. I got to put on my happy face. I got to do all this stuff. I got to get dressed. I got to shave, or whatever. But when you come home from the party, you'd be going to each other, and you'd fight on the way there for directions, trying to find the place. And then when you came home from the party, you'd go, oh my God, what's the difference between Rock History Music, Rock History Canada? Rock History Canada is for people like Luba. No disrespect to Luba. You rock, John. Thank you. But for people like, I don't know, Trooper, bands that had some success in the U.S., but not a lot. When I put up, I put Murray McLaughlin. Some of you probably don't know who that is. And that's okay. It's not your fault because Murray is a Canadian legend, but was not played in the U.S. When I put up an interview with Murray McLaughlin, there's back bacon involved. Uncle Dan, you rock. My channel would get 100 hits for a video, and it doesn't look good for my channel if I get 100 hits for a video. So I would say, why would I put a Canadian artist who really, their heyday is not here anymore? Great interview, John Anderson. Thank you, Patrick. So I'm going to put those on Rock History Canada. That's why I invented Rock History Canada for older Canadian art. Martha and the Muffins. There's just tons of people. But then there's Chilliwack. Remember Chilliwack, my girl? She talks crazy talk. Chilliwack had success in the U.S., so I would put Chilliwack on both channels. A little on Rock History Canada, a little on Rock History Music. That's why I have Rock History Canada, because I'm not going to put on, and no disrespect to Murray, because Murray's one of my favorite artists, but I'm not going to put on 10 videos or even one long one of Murray McLaughlin talking on Rock History Music when Chilliwack, there you go. We've got 3 interviews with Chilliwack. They're all ready to roll, but we can't keep up with it. We just got too much. There's just not enough hours in the day. So we're going to be working a lot harder, by the way, in the next little while to get those interviews. Yeah, I can't find my Miles Goodwin. And that's the most interesting. Remember I told you Miles was in a crappy mood, but he apologized for it. And that was nice of him to do that. But it was the most challenging interview I ever did because I'm such a huge Miles Goodwin fan. But he didn't do anything wrong. He just said, I don't feel like doing this. And I'd like to get another interview with him, but I think he's dodging me. Miles Goodwin, you're dodging me. I want to do a big special. On Rock History Book, our sister channel, we have the top 25 April Wine songs. And we give Miles all the credit he deserves because it was basically his band. And he liked it. I know he saw it. But anyway, I'm not sure if I'll get Miles again. The reason I can't find the interview is because on one side of it is Jim Clench, who's dead now, their bass player. He sang Ooh, What a Night and a few songs before that, a lot of songs on Electric Jewels, and which is right there. Ooh, Electric Jewels. That's my April Wine. Look at it. They signed it. Okay, sorry about the noise, guys. For April Wine fans, there's Electric Jewels, Forever for Now, First Glance, The Whole World's Going Crazy, On Record, and a George Benson Breeze and Autograph. They're all autographed albums. And what do we got here? We got Live at the Elma Combo, April Wine. We got One of These Nights, signed by Glenn Fry and Don Henley. Doobie Brothers, hold on. Doobie Brothers, taking it to the streets. Keith Knutson, Patrick Simmons. We've got Jerry and Dewey autographed silent letter after Dan Peake left. I used to love Check Field when I was involved in NAC radio, like the Wave format. I used to love. So Ron and John interviewed that. I've got UK album autographed by Terry. The little sticker on top was Terry Bozzio, Elton John autographed. 4 Bruce Hornsby autographed. I don't think that Elton John autograph is real. From Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, I bought it on eBay or I traded it, I forget. Alan Parsons, I know is real. April Wine Live from 74, autographed. I got that myself. And then Fleetwood Mac, autographed by Mick Fleetwood. My friend got that after they got off stage in 80 something, and it's a terrible autograph. Never ask a drummer to autograph something after he's played for 2 hours. So I know that the weird thing is I know it's real, but is there anything that you would change about the Blind Faith album? What would it be? Oh, God, you're asking the wrong person. John, have you heard the master recording of Dark Side of the Moon? No, I have not. It would be cool to see Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, and Jimmy Page do an album. I don't think it'll ever happen. Oh, Burton Cummings came and went. I've tried to get Steve Lukather and Neil Schon. By the way, a lot of people were asking why doesn't a Lukather cherry pick Steve Smith and Ross Valerie for Toto? It's because he and Neil Schon are friends, and he wouldn't do that. That's the most definite answer. Permanent Waves, Rush. You know, I'm trying to get right now. Terry Brown. Speaking of all those great Rush albums, starting I think he started with Fly By Night. Maybe at 2112. So I emailed Terry Brown yesterday because he came up a lot when we were talking to the Klaatu boys, right? Terry, D, and John. So Terry, almost like a fifth member of Klaatu, his name kept coming up, and I went, yeah, I'm very familiar with Terry Brown's work. He did a lot of Canadian stuff because he was in Toronto. So I emailed him. If anyone knows Terry Brown, text him and say, John Bowden's a damn good guy. Damn, I love that John Bowden. And they'll go, yeah, you're lying. You're not telling the truth. Why I oughta. People were asking what this is. I've been with Bell for 25 years, Bell Media in Canada. But I've actually been with them since 1990 when they were chum. Uncle Dan, mine too. Great album. My favorite is Farewell to Kings. Favorite to Kings. Yeah, I'm real Rush. Dennis DeYoung, I tried, and the promoter kept saying, because of COVID-19, Dennis is just doing a few interviews. And then I'd say, okay, he's doing another thing. And he'd say, well, because, and I think he just got sick of me asking. And I think once we get past 100,000, they called it, I'm confused. You guys are talking amongst yourselves. I think that once we get past 100,000, which should happen in the new year, we will get more interviews. Horse crap, LOL. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Are you guys fighting amongst yourselves? Behave now. Should get Luke and his son Trev on. I think he's reluctant to do that because he's helped his son an awful lot. And I think there's a level where, and I don't know that because I know Luke. We've never talked about his son. And Luke's never come up to me and say, hey, you should promote my son. Dennis has his own YouTube channel. I know, but the promoter who's promoting. I've got a Jonathan Cain interview. It's on my channel. Just look it up. Jonathan Cain, John Bowden. Look it up. It's like 12 parts. During the interview, he says, oh, that's just fake news. And I said, we hate that term. Hate that term, fake news. I got like colleagues who were beaten up because they were on the wrong side of, it's just someone was Blackmore interview maybe. Have I tried? I don't know. Okay. Sheer what? What's your username? Shears what? What? Why? Do you know anything interesting about Led Zeppelin's drug use? No. I try to stay away from that stuff because I get demonetized. YouTube's being very careful. And I use and I've said this before on this channel, I'm not bragging when I say this. Someone says, "You're always saying this." Well, I have to say, I've been in radio 37 years, in major market radio. I use the same rules on the YouTube channel for the most part as I would when I'm recording my radio show, which is right over there. See that? See that right here? That's where I record my radio show. I know it's on. That's right there. Every night, wide orbit. It's the software we use. And I use the same criteria as I would. So I wouldn't go on my show and start talking about drug use, even though I could probably do it on my show a lot more than I could do it on YouTube. So that's why, thanks for the Richie Fiore. We're not finished with that. We've got 3 more clips. What I'm doing now, because I'm learning about my old brain, is instead of doing, okay, I'll go into the Richie Fiore Final Cut profile, then I'll go into this guy, and then I'll go, what I'm learning now is just to do, okay, let's just do the last 3 and put them up on YouTube and have 3 days in between them. Roger Era, Breakfast in America. I had to go all pop on you, but it's Breakfast in America. Thank you, Timothy. I've been an underachiever in radio. To be very clear, I didn't become a program director till the 2000s. I didn't become an official music director until the 2000s, even though with my NAC show, I was picking all the music and programming it in the 80s. And I programmed my rock show that I syndicated across the country. But I've been an underachiever in radio most of my life. I've been really going, yeah, I'll do my evening show. People will leave me alone and I'll go home and stay up till 4 in the morning. And I divorced in 86, 87. And after that, I just kind of kept to myself, dated a few women now and then, went steady a few times, but loved my privacy and stayed by myself till I met Shannon in 1997. When I met Shannon, I just knew my life was going to change because she was way out of my league. What's the first ever concert? Oh, speaking of Shannon, you guys gotta see this. Gotta see this. Oh my God. This is Shannon in her beauty pageant days. Look at that hair. There's some hair for you. There's Shanny. She was in the Miss Penticton pageant. That's some big hair, man. B.B. King when I was 13. Oh, cool. We had a chance to see B.B. King or James Brown. And I picked James Brown. And James Brown shook my hand. And now poor James, wherever he is, in the ether. Hair metal hair, yeah. Well, that's true, eh? When Shannon got her straight hair, she kind of got her look. Thank you, Patrick. She's a really special lady. I had a dream last night that she was screwing around. You ever have a dream about your partner and you wake up and you're mad at them, even though they have nothing to do with it? It's all out of your crazy brain. Three Dog Night in 1970. Hey, we were talking about Three Dog Night this morning with Jesse Colin Young. What was the name of the song? Sunlights? What was the name of the song that... Hold on. No, let me get it. So yeah, Sunlight. Three Dog Night recorded Sunlight in the early 70s with Jesse Colin Young, recorded, I think Chuck Negron sang that song, and we interviewed Chuck for our channel. You should check out that interview. Chuck is just the best interview in the world. And in Three Dog Night in the early 70s were one of the biggest bands in the world. I think it was Shea Stadium. They outsold faster than the Beatles. They were a huge band. It's a strange thing they didn't write their own songs. You know, I mean, we were this album is Led Zeppelin, who, well, on some level, some people would say they didn't write all their own songs too, because of, you know, they borrow a lot of riffs here and there and other stuff. But Three Dog Night were an amazing band. Floyd Sneed, he's from Calgary, their drummer. Is he really? Are you sure? He doesn't live here, does he? Wouldn't it be great if he lived here? I'd go to his house wearing a mask and do an interview. He was an amazing drummer. How about Rod Stewart interview? I'm not going to get Rod Stewart. I'm not. People always say, "Oh, don't underestimate yourself." I'm not going to get Rod Stewart. You know what? The older artists would rather talk to Billboard, Rolling Stone, and a few. My first interview was with Stan Peters. Oh, whoa! Are you the same person I talked to before, the Miramichi guy? Do you still have that interview? You got to text me. John Bowden at iCloud.com. We got to talk. Text me about that. John Bowden at iCloud. Three Dog Night saying Celebrate at Chicago. Celebrate. Yeah. Always the people you think you'll never be surprised. I'm from, is it dog groomer? Really? Email me, John Bowden at iCloud.com. After this interview, are you still in Miramichi? I'm from Miramichi, by the way, Northeast New Brunswick. I grew up there. Dog groomer, we have not talked before? Do we not know each other? It's like I should know everyone in Miramichi, New Brunswick. You saw Three Dog Night in the 70s. Good stuff. Yeah. Dog groomer. Yeah, text me. John Bowden, iCloud.com. We don't know each other. Yeah, talk to me about the Stampeders. We'll talk. Did you say yes? You still have the interview? I was just going to email Ronnie King again of the Stampeders, a Canadian. By the way, you American friends, do you know the Stampeders? Do you know of the Stampeders? How many of you know who the Stampeders are, or have heard the Stampeders? Terry Brown, by the way. Speaking of Terry, he produced one of their albums. Crazy Talented, yes. No. Sweet City Woman, there you go, Elliot. No, just a CFL team. Yeah, well, they're here. I'm in Calgary. Timothy, Sweet City Woman. Yeah, a lot of Sweet City Woman was a hit in the U.S., wasn't it? I'd have to look it up. On Bell Records. Elliot, yeah. I have talked to two of the Stampeders, but just talked to them. Rich Dotson, trying to get an interview with him when I was in Toronto, selling my radio show, The Cross Canada Report. We had two versions. Someone just went to the bathroom up there. Hear that? We had two versions of the show, an AC version, and then later Sweet City Woman, etc. Sounds familiar. Grew up in Seattle till 76. Love Seattle. A Devo interview? Never even thought of it. Ever see Burton Cummings impersonating Gordon Lightfoot? Yeah, it's online. I'm not sure if he did it, though, when I saw him in concert. When Burton shaved his hair really short, what was the name of that album? You know, with the checkerboards on it? What was the name of that album? Anyway, I saw him in concert that year. That was the only time, I think. Was that the only time I saw Burton Cummings? My brain played. John, spelled the normal way. My last name is spelled Beaudin. So that's Beaudin at iCloud.com. But anyway, in the description of any one of my other videos, my email's not there, but my name's there. So it's John Bowden. Baudin, spelt the French way. But no English person wants to say Baudin. So when I got into radio in 83, I think it was, I decided to pronounce it Bowden. So it's John, Beaudin at iCloud.com. Sweet City Woman, only song that mentions macaroons. Really? Timothy? Does it mention macaroons? 4 times live, Burton Cummings. He did the Gordon Lightfoot impersonation live. I think I saw it online. I don't know if I did it. Jude Cole, I tried. I think Jude Cole was doing something for, in Japan or something, and he couldn't do it. Jude Cole, that album, Life Full of Reasons. What's the name of that song? The first song on the album. That's one of the best songs I've ever heard in my life. Okay, I got to look it up. Anybody, here it is, comes up. I got to look up this song. My handprint's not working. Oh, there it is. I know this is the rambling part of the show now. Led Zeppelin, who? We're just going, what the heck? Okay, I've got to look it up. Jude Cole. Life Full of Reasons? What's the name of the song? Have you ever interviewed Justin Hayward? No. I was talking to John Wallace-Chuck from Klaatu, and he was mentioning he loved the first 3 Justin Hayward albums for the Moody Blues. Influence reunion was going to happen. Never happened because what? 9/11? You said? Hold on, Jude Cole. Life full of reasons. I think that's. I haven't heard the song in probably a couple of years. It's one of my all-time favorite driving songs. Just love it. If someone has been saying it, sorry, I missed out. Yeah, it's from A View from 3rd Street. No, House Full of Reasons. That's it. Oh, it's not the first cut. It's the third cut. Oh my God, I love this album. Oh my God. This is one of the greatest albums for driving. How old was I? I would have been 30. Just got to Vancouver. Classic album. God. His other stuff is good too, but man, there's Brent Bourgeois as well. There's Brent Bourgeois, who I interviewed. Brent was great. Hold on, let me look it up. B-O-U. Here it is, Brent Bourgeois. Brent was a great interview. Career. Remember Bourgeois tag? Sorry, I'm not ignoring you. I'm trying to figure out what. They don't even have his discography on here. That's pretty bad. I think it was Brent's first album. How about Rick Wakeman? I tried, man, and he is hysterical. I tried to get him when he was doing his Grumpy Old Man tour. Tweet City Women is about the Stampeders moving to Toronto. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. But anyway, I'll email Ronnie King today, and I know that dude from. You mean David Clayton Thomas? Mellencamp and Bryan Adams. I guess there's something about start. Is it Start the Car? I forget. Jude Cole. I mean, I can't believe I haven't played that album in a few years. Love his voice. Yeah, House Full of Reasons. Listen to that song. Anybody, if you Start the Car. Yeah, that song. David Clayton Thomas or Al Cooper. Yeah, David Clayton Thomas is involved with the same Canadian promotion company that I work with an awful lot here. Mostly Canadian guy. Have you ever seen Dave Hull from Australia? No, I don't know him. Baby, It's Tonight. Yeah, wasn't that the single? Baby, it's tonight. I can't sing. Never mind me. Yeah, I can't sing. Yeah, yes, it was. Anyway, we're rambling off now. There's 93 of us online, hanging out, talking about stuff. Do you know the Robbie Robertson? No, and I've not tried for Robbie Robertson, though I know some people who know him quite well. One Canadian artist I just interviewed, is a close friend of his. Yeah, David Clayton Thomas' first solo record. I don't know if I had it. Corey Hart, I've tried. Almost had Corey Hart. I play Corey Hart. I think it was the last song last night. Hold on. Is it got to come up? No. The last song I played last night was Right Here Waiting by Richard Marx. And that is the most requested song on my show from Richard Marx. From Celine Dion, I play a lot of AC stuff on that Lazy River. Is that a band? Do not know who they are. Jason, my writer, just wrote a thing about the most popular Australian bands. Of course, Olivia's on there. Yeah, lessons from him. The Fix, they are on one of our upcoming specials. People are always asking me about The Fix. I'm growing a little weary now because of the interview that we had. The interview with Jesse was 2 hours long. I kept wanting to ask him questions. He kept going, yeah, I don't have another interview. That's the best time to interview someone, when they don't have another interview coming up. And you just go, well, I've got a Christmas special coming up. Tell me about your Christmases. Then I'll pull this one out of the bag. I'll go, have you ever had an embarrassing situation on stage? And you're going, well, that's kind of a lame question. But when you put like 10 of them together, like I always use this example, Daryl Sturmer said he fell off stage when he was on one of the Genesis tours. He actually told me what tour it was, Because he says, well, I said, well, that always happens, man. Everyone falls off stage. I think it's a rite of passage. You're not a musician until you fall off stage and that kind of stuff. So I'm glad the microphone works. I didn't, for whatever reason, I've got it hooked into for you a Focusrite mic preamp thingamajiggy. Yeah, I bought one of those, and this is an old radio station Focusrite microphone, which broke, and I just got it fixed. Larry Fast Synergy. I used to love that stuff. Very moody. I got into that stuff before I got into ambient music. And even Robert Fripp stuff, Brian Eno stuff. That kind of music really moved me a lot, quite a bit. And the ECM stuff before that. Get back to your Woods, Great New Orleans opening from Robbie's second album. I for anyone who hasn't seen on our sister channel, Rock History Book, this is Rock History Music. I know it's confusing. Check out our 27 Club video where we have interviews from John Hall of Orleans. Love Fripp. Everyone loves Robert Fripp. I just saw a thing on the biggest selling vinyl music of the last month, and Robert Fripp had an album in there. Every interview, Randy Bachman, yes. I've got, just look up, now there's an example. Randy Bachman, people ask me why you have Rock History Canada. Half of the Randy Bachman songs are on Rock History Canada, where he talks about Tommy Hunter and Don Messer's Jubilee, which a lot of US people might not know. So I put that on the Canadian channel. And the other half of the Bachman Turner Overdrive stuff, and it is Bachman, not Bachman. He doesn't mind if you say Bachman, because he says, as long as you buy the records. And Kim Mitchell told me, that sounds like him. Are you from Chatham or Newcastle? I am from Newcastle. I actually lived in Belfond, which was a French community. And I graduated in 79. What year did you graduate? Are you older than me? Are you younger than me? Are you really a dog groomer? Do you have stuff on your YouTube channel? If you reply yes to all these, oh, okay, cool. You didn't answer my question, dog groomer. Watched Steve Hackett live the other day. We've got 3 Dewey Bunnell and Jerry Beckley interviews. We've got a Jerry Beckley interview, and we've got, and I shouldn't open this can of worms. I interviewed Dan Peake for 2 hours. And the interview has hum on it. Thank you for keeping rock music alive. Thank you. Okay, dog groomer. What year did you graduate? Did you graduate in Miramichi? Roger, that should be interesting. Jerry Beckley and I got along really well because right off the bat from that album, Silent Letter, because remember all America albums started with H. I'm trying to get Jimmy Webb. Yeah, I'm trying to get Jimmy Webb right now. I don't know if he's come up in so many interviews. Henry Diltz, who did all the Beatles, Crosby, Stills, and Nash covers, the photographer, he was in a dog groomer. Yes, really a dog groomer, and graduated in '84 from James M. Hill, The Good Side of the River. Hey, wait a minute. No way. Rick Springfield. Never tried for Rick Springfield. Love Jimmy Page. Yeah, gotta love Jimmy Page. And I know people say he stole a lot of riffs, but to me, he was one of the most inventive guitarists. Loved his stuff. I was talking about something there, I forgot. Ian Thomas, no, but we have one of the funniest Ian Thomas interviews. Actually, is it on here? Oh. We have a funny Ian Thomas interview where he says Bryan Adams is derivative. He's just being funny because at the time of the interview, and my buddy Steve Burgess did the interview, and he gave me all his interviews. But there's 2 interviews that Steve did. He did a lot of great interviews, but 2 of them, one was with, I'm going to sneeze. One was with Doug Bennett. God bless his soul wherever Doug is. And one is with Ian Thomas, and they're so hilarious. And Steve's a really funny guy. Steve was one of the guys who trained me in radio to learn the board of K-Lite in Edmonton the first night I got into radio, official broadcasting radio stuff. So anyway, it's quite funny. I know my first name is different. Ian Thomas. is a brother to Dave Thomas. That's right, of SCTV. But he's just as funny. Steve Perry, I've tried. Steve Perry's not going to talk to me. I've tried. You know, no, I'm not. I've never interviewed Steve Perry. There's certain people I know that are harder. And what they do is they're older rock stars. I was starting to say this a while ago. They'll talk to Rolling Stone. They'll talk to Billboard, music, whatever, the New Music Express or whatever in England. They'll talk to a few of those. And by that, we'll all steal from that. I don't steal a lot of stuff from other people, as you know, because I do my own interviews. Feet Waybill of the Tubes, I've tried. He's never gotten back to me. Grew up in Niagara Falls, New York, so listen to Canadian radio too. Oh, good. Thank you, Ruthie. Dog groomer, you must be familiar with Larry Obey. Yeah, who's Larry again? I know his name. Notice I said his name right. Who was Larry again? I knew his name. You have to understand, I haven't lived in Miramichi since 1979. The second I graduated, I worked at Miramichi Cable for 2 months, and then went to Edmonton to get into radio. Guitar player from Miramichi. Yeah. Oh, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot. We should Skype. You and I should Skype, talk about Miramichi. I'd love to do it. Or Zoom. And Greg Raleigh. I've been trying to get Greg for a little bit. I know friends of Greg. I know someone who knows Greg's wife quite well. And we get a lot of offers for interviews, even though there's people we can't get. I don't think I'll ever talk to Elton John. I've talked to many people who played with Elton John. I don't think, there's just some people. Steve Vai, I've never tried for Steve. Like I said the other day in our broadcast, when I heard Steve playing with David Lee Roth, I went, whoa! Huey Lewis, Phil Lynott. Is it Lynott or Lynott? I don't know. But anyway, I don't talk to dead people. I've got some interviews with dead people. I've got Long John Baldry. I interviewed Eddie Money 6 months before he passed. We had such a good, sometimes, you talk to someone where you just click with the person. And Eddie, everyone likes Eddie Money. Eddie's like a car salesman. He was. He just like makes an effort in an interview. You never go to a party and there's always that bunch of people who come up and they go, oh, those two people coming in don't know anybody. Let's go make them feel comfortable. Every party should have someone like that. Eddie Money's that type of person. He'll also sell you a car. But he was like that. He made an effort. Christopher Cross, no, I tried. They sent me the album, but they said no. Eddie was cool. Met him once, yeah. No, I get asked about stars a lot. And yesterday we were talking about, people were writing me a few letters going, what, John, you're not religious? No, I let people talk about religion if that's important to them, and I respect that they are religious. I used to be very religious, but I'm not a religious person at all. I don't belong to a religion. Yes, I've read the Bible. I used to be heavy in Bible prophecy, but then I stopped. Love Sweet City Women. Yeah! Remember here, sorry, didn't mean to overmo. Avery Shiver? What? I don't know who that is. Bandito? I don't know who that is. I mean, we're left to what we grew up with around our friends, right? I'm a spiritual guy, yeah. I'm more into Buddhism. And I used to read a lot, not that he's Buddhist, Alan Watts. I read, The Way of Zen. I've got that over there. I'm in the 80s. Love Jesus, but hate religion. Yeah. I always go, hey, man, I'm never going to tell someone who's found Jesus or God or any religion, oh, what are you doing? Like some people, remember when we were growing up, people would come up, what? You like the Bay City Rollers? You suck. Well, okay, looking back, maybe I could have made better decisions with my music stuff when I was a kid. But at the same time, you like what you like, right? And in spirituality, you find something that you're connected to. I'm referencing Richie Furay when I talked to him, and people all thought I was really religious. And I'm not that I have to have a disclaimer saying I'm not, but everyone said, oh, thanks, John. We need more Christians like you. I'm going, not Christian. George Benson, bing, up there. Oh, my leg just fell off my tripod. oh, maybe it's Satan. When I interviewed George Benson, I asked him, I was told Don't ask if he's getting tired, and believe it, we know when artists are getting tired. You know, they've had enough of the interview. Ask him about being a JW. I gotta plug in my. Sorry guys, I gotta plug in my heater. I am freaking freezing down here. Can you hear it? Listen. It sounds like there's a mosquito in the room. It's a Costco dish. They said, the woman told me, Linda, she said, if he's getting tired in the interview, ask him about being a JW, he's Jehovah's Witness, and you'll have him for another half hour. And I did, and it worked. So I asked him, I said, why are you a Jehovah's Witness? He said, why do you ask me that? I'm going, I ask everyone that. Why that religion of all religions? And he wasn't really defensive, and then he said, well, because when I wake up in the morning, I know what a man around the world at this very moment in time is thinking. And I'm going, oh, okay, sure. I don't know what that means. And no, I have not looked it up. If there's JWs watching, you might want to explain that. Where is Jimmy? Jimmy who? No, I talked to Jonathan Cain about his Christian-themed music. When I talked to him last time, he'd released his autobiography. It's rare when I contact a publisher and I will get an interview through a book publisher. And he was releasing his autobiography, like I said, and they connected me right away. And I had, I think, a 20-minute interview. It was not long, with Jonathan Cain. And he was great. He was great. I talked to him about Christianity a little bit. I think he too thought, because I asked that question, I was Christian. I'm going, no, I'm asking that question because it's important to you. And I know that's important to a lot of people. So I'm going to ask the question, right? Last time I was in a church was when my brother passed away. When my dad passed away, quite a few years ago. It felt good being in the church, though. It felt really good. Anyway, I'm going to wrap things up. Anybody have any questions about future shows? Future shows, we've got, like I said, Jesse Colin Young, from the Youngbloods, we just interviewed today for 2 hours. Michael Sweet is cool. Hi, Jason. Saw the interview with Kane. Kuwait, hey, hi. John Lodge is also a Christian. Did I know that? What was the name of the album? Blue Jays? What was the name of the album with Justin Hayward and John Lodge? Something Jays. What was that name? Geddy Lee, I'm going to try. No, I've never tried for, I know a lot about Bryan Adams because I had a record rep that was my best friend that had to deal with Bryan. And she had, I'd say 95% nice things to say about him. And the 5% that weren't nice were not really bad. Like, he was really easy to work with. I know he doesn't suffer fools, and I know a lot of people got, oh God, my microphone thing was just in front of my heater. That's great. Let's burn the cord. Blue Jay Way. Was that the name of the album? Andy Scott from, by the way, on my channel once a month, I'll check to see if anyone's stolen anything I've done. As people know, I've interviewed a lot of people, and that's what I do. I got into radio to interview rock stars 37 years ago. Keith Richards, I'll never get. Blue Jays. Yeah, it was Blue Jays. So I don't know if it was Andy. I don't know who it was from Sweet. There's only one guy left. Or else their webmaster. But they stole my entire dedication. And I thought, okay, well, it's Sweet. It's on the official YouTube Sweet page. I got, I think, 100,000 hits or something. I subscribed. Thanks, Jason. I appreciate that. Nick Gilder. No, I'm friends with Nick on Facebook. Yeah, Nick, Bryan Adams. Yeah. Bryan Adams came in after Nick. Or was it Weil? I thought he came in after. Badfinger, Joey Mullen. Yeah, I just interviewed Joey. The problem is the phone call sounds like this. How's it going? John Farnham, I love. I love John Farnham. Great voice. So Joey Mullen sounds like this. Jesus, man. says he's not religious, but he sure says Jesus a lot. Oh, wait, hold on. Anyway, I just interviewed Joey Mullen, the last surviving member of the classic lineup of Badfinger. Look up Badfinger on this. Patrick says Jesus. We used to have this thing on at Easter, and we were just assholes when we were young in radio. We'd go, it's an all JC weekend for Easter, and we'd do these pretend commercials. And of course, it's sacrilegious. I would never do that now. There's a lot of things you can't do now. So it's come, it's gone. Don't forget to give, enjoyed this, give a thumbs up. I'm deeply Christian. Well, good for you. Yeah, I find that, I've seldom had Christian friends, deeply Christian friends, that I didn't get along with. I used to love talking about theology, and they knew me enough. Brian Eno, never had Brian. No, they knew me enough to not go there, with me, because I'd been a Christian before, and I just got into Buddhism and spirituality. Even though I don't like a lot of spiritual people these days that sell their books, I wouldn't go, oh, wow, the latest guy who's the big New Age dude. I don't. Phil Wickham. You know what? I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. I built a Christian radio station. I actually built one. I'm a believer, but I don't call myself a Christian. Yeah, I don't. I built a whole Christian station for a colleague of mine. We used to build radio stations for like $5,000, $4 or $5,000. I built one for $6,000 once because it was a vast internet radio station and it needed a lot of imaging and stuff. And anyway, I built a Christian station. Yeah, and it was a lot of work. Never made a lot of money on that station, but it was a labor of love. I enjoyed it. I was surprised. Well, I already knew, but I was re-surprised on how good the quality of the music is. Lincoln Brewster played guitar with Steve Perry. Cool. My cord's getting too hot here. See this old Sony? Old Sony? That actually works. I got it from Value Village. I bought this one from eBay, and I got this one, the Studer. Oh, God, sorry. The Studer, which is not quite mint, but man, it's amazing reel-to-reel. You could play a pizza on that reel-to-reel and it'd give you some sound. Anyway, Phil Wickham, pop. When Studer, yeah, very high end. Well, the guy who hired me and fired me for my first job, he was very hard on me. But he taught me more than anybody else. Len Tucson, he's a radio legend, nice guy. I think I drove him crazy because it was when you start at a major market radio station, you don't know what you don't know. And I learned to edit on this machine when I was 23. And I didn't know how to splice tape. I didn't even know what splicing tape was. Now it's too hot in here. Jesus. I have to turn off my heater. And he sold me this Studer, which he wasn't using anymore because he'd already backed up all his interviews for $1,000. And I looked it up on eBay one day. And I said to Len, I said, Len, you can't sell me this Studer. You know what this is worth? He said, John, it's all good. I wanted you to have it. So I drove up to Edmonton, my son and I, stayed overnight. Just before we left to come back home, because we didn't want to leave it in our car overnight, we picked it up at the last moment. And it was nice to see Len again. Len's great. God, he looks good for his age. And he's doing really well. And Carrie, his wife, was doing really well. And the model is, it's a much sought after, the A807. Okay, hold on. I'm going to try to show you this machine. Oh, God, I've got so much crap in here. Don't say you want to buy it because it weighs like 75 pounds. Okay, there you go. Am I going to be able to do this? Here. You want to see the machine? I show you the machine. Okay, I got to take this off the truck. Oh, I might be able to do it now. Hold on. This is so packed in here. There it is. It's on its stand. It comes with a stand. But it's the Stewart A807. It doesn't have the big thing on top here, but it is heavy. Oh my God, it's heavy. It weighs a ton. I think 70. Yeah, the A807. Oh, 807, yeah. I have to look. I don't know. John Anderson was really curious about it. Joe Walsh interview, I was just trying to get Timothy B. Schmidt. What about Gordon Lightfoot? Ever interview him? No. No. I don't think I could get Gordon. And I'm not sure how clear he is right now. Most of the older guys I've been interviewing. I don't do my green screens over there, by the way. See, whenever I talk about my green screen, see it over there? There's something wrong with the lighting system. My old face, I need a lot of lights. So when I was talking to John Anderson, he said, "Oh, what's that reel you have in the back?" Oh, is that right behind and Fragile? Glass Tiger, we're doing a big anniversary thing, and their promoter was going to get me an interview with Glass Tiger. I've already interviewed Alan, the first drummer from Glass Tiger, who left after the first album. Everyone thought he was crazy. I told him he was crazy. I interviewed him at a sound studio in Toronto when they were doing a video. I think it was a video. Nope, never interviewed Billy. So I've got Glass Tiger. I sound probably like an idiot during the interview because I was so scared. I was so nervous. I'd never interviewed at that time. I was syndicating my show, the Cross Canada Report Across Canada. And I'd never interviewed someone, and they were the biggest band in the country at the time. Yeah, I've tried Timothy. I've emailed him on his site. I've tried for Don Felder, but his promoter told me he's not doing interviews till the new year, which doesn't mean he's not. It just means for guys like me or our site, they're not really doing anything. Lou Graham, I should try. Randy Meisner. Randy left, though. Remember, Randy left. He left two bands. He left Poco, he left the Eagles, and he punched Glenn Fry. I was just talking to Glenn Fry's brother last night, Alan Fry, and they're going to have a Glenn Fry Day. Jim Masdia, I talked to Jim privately more than any other artist. Well, maybe Luke I talked to more from Toto. But he gave us a private, even though he didn't play on Hitch a Ride from the debut album. He originally played on it, but he was replaced, right? And he gave my son and I a private concert where he played Hitch a Ride from his home in Boston. He's doing a bed and breakfast, by the way. He just bought a new house. He can be feisty. Who? Jim? I just interviewed Derry from Honeymoon Suite. And I interviewed his daughter, Leah Marlene. Don Henley, no. I know his wife, but I can't ask her. I can't put her in that situation. I'd love to say, hey, can I talk to your husband, please? That would be really great. Golly Willikers. But you can't do that. You can't put people in difficult situations. Tommy Shaw, I've never tried. I like Styx. I like Tommy's voice. I have not tried. Amazing High. I take it to the limit. Person who has same level of interest and appreciation for Kim Mitchell. I love Kim Mitchell. Rockland was my favorite from Kim Mitchell. Anyone who doesn't know Kim Mitchell, go on Spotify and listen to Rockland. Rockland Wonderland. Like just underrated guy. And Kim Mitchell was one of those guys, when I talked to him, I just felt a nice rapport with him. Depeche Mode, no, never. Expedition Sailor, what a great song, from Rockland? Yeah. Sorry, I'm itchy. James Young, no. James was the guy who had that Snowblind song or whatever. Ian Gillan, I've tried. No. David Coverdale, I've tried. No. Yes, I have tried. I forget sometimes. I always say, I have this saying, ask me tomorrow and I'll tell you yes. Ask me tomorrow, I'll say it's 300, not 500. Sometimes I forget. That's why I'm a research pig. It goes back to when Phil Collins, Glenn Hughes, I haven't tried. It goes back to when Phil Collins did that thing about his first album, or might have been Duke around that era. He had mentioned a date and he was wrong, and everyone was quoting his wrong date, where they should have done the research and said, "Oh, Phil said 1980 or 81, but actually he meant whatever date it was." And I learned that day something I learned in broadcasting school: don't uh, Scarlett O'Hara, Scarlett Johansson. Oh, is it Ohan? What's her name? I forget. I don't watch superhero movies. I'm not really big on the superhero. Anyway, um, I lost my train of thought. Ian Pace, the only permanent member of Deep Purple. How about the guy for an interview? I've tried. I just tried. Yeah, Duke was 1980. I know. I've got Duke autographed on the other wall. I don't think Phil's doing very well. He looks incredibly frail, and all that. Someone asked me today, "How come you're not following the Phil Collins drama about his ex-wife?" Or, and I went, I don't do that kind of stuff, you know. About the reunion, I don't know if it's going to happen. If you're talking about Genesis, I don't know if it's going. Trevor Raven has an album coming out. Uh, I'm loving this. So much info. Thanks, John. Thanks, Linda. Yeah, with his son on drums, uh, I don't know what to say. I don't. I think he's a great drummer, but I think they should have picked someone. I feel like a hypocrite because I like Deacon Fry and the Eagles, and yet when it comes to Phil Collins, I keep thinking get Simon Phillips or something. I'm new to this stream. Hello, A Ryan. I love Genesis. Genesis is my favorite prog band. The outfield, no, never had a chance to interview them. Chester Thompson's retired. He's not doing it. Seems like a nice guy to interview. I've never tried for Sammy Hagar, even though I enjoyed Hagar more than David Lee Roth or Gary Ground. Very cool. Well, you don't want to do too much. You know what I mean? Don't you find if you go into these channels and they do all these gossipy things, it just makes me feel tired. I'm going, come on, aren't we too old for this crap? Let's talk about the music. And it's not like if I interview Richie Furay that I don't ask him about the trouble with Randy Meisner or the trouble when he had his trio. I mean, I'm going to ask those questions. Supertramp, yeah, we've got Roger Hodgson interview and John Halliwell interview series running right now. And Ben C. Benberg's in one of them as well. It's not like I'm not going to ask the Pink Elephant questions. Like when I interviewed Jonathan Cain, I asked him about Steve Perry and what's the trouble and all this stuff. And he said, I thought Steve was going to play with us. And you got to ask him that question, but you don't, there's a line where you don't want to be Entertainment Tonight. You know, you don't want to be that kind of reporter. It just makes me feel heavy. But anyway, having said that, I got to rock and roll because I did this 2-hour interview with Jesse Colin Young, and interviews, they take a lot out of me. You're always thinking, I got to ask this. I can't remember. I can't forget this, even though I've got all my notes. Like this, for instance, Jesse Colin Young. Interview questions, interview questions, interview questions. Like 3 pages full. Thanks, John. I appreciate it. Thank you. How about a Danica interview? What, my daughter? She can't speak. You probably didn't know that. I know you probably didn't mean disrespect. Aerosmith, you like them because they're Republicans? Oh, come on. Thanks, John. Let's do this again. Notebook, that old school. Yeah, I'm very old school. Any good stories? Gordon Lightfoot stories? I was saying the other day when I came to Toronto to try to sell my syndicated show to Coke. We were trying to sell it to Coke. They were this close to signing and sponsoring the Cross Canada Report. And the cab driver, it was driving me to my hotel. I was staying at a dive because the show wasn't making enough money, even though it was at 36 markets across Canada, except Toronto. We had every major market, every secondary market, and a lot of smaller markets. But we couldn't get Toronto because as a broadcaster in 86, I wasn't at the level I'm at now. If I would have done it at my level now, God, we would have been fine. Because I mean, I've been in it a long time. It's like you. If you're in a job for 37 years, you're going to be good at it. So he pointed, he said, hey, Gordon Lightfoot owns that. He either said he lived in a penthouse suite or owned a penthouse suite. I'm not sure. And I went, oh, there's a penthouse suite. Okay, there's the top floor of a building. And that's as close to Gordon Lightfoot as I've gotten. I saw him in concert. He was quite old even then, and he was good. What note do you get? Drop a what? Sorry, I missed it. Thank you, Roger. I appreciate it. Uh, Credit John Anderson. What? Yeah, interview John Anderson. I'd love to interview him again. John Anderson was fun. It was a fun interview. Really interesting guy. I've been on here 90 minutes. Oh, God, I got to go. Thanks, guys. Remember, donate to the channel. Buy a t-shirt. Please buy a t-shirt. Buy a t-shirt. Send us. You know what? People always say, I like your channel. You don't have to buy a t-shirt if that's not your thing. But people say, oh, can I donate? Just then buy a t-shirt for someone. I hate asking people for money. It's just I feel weird about it. So people say, hey, why don't you have a PayPal give us money thing? I said, well, I don't feel comfortable with that. I don't know. I might do it one of these days, but so I just say buy a t-shirt, get something for your money. We get a little money off that, not a lot. And if you don't want a t-shirt, send it to someone. And you could buy a t-shirt and send it to someone else. You know what I mean? I'll let you know about a t-shirt. Okay, well, sure. If you don't want to buy a t-shirt, don't buy a t-shirt. But if you want to support our channel, subscribe to in the description of most of our videos, not this one because I haven't put it up yet. You buy a t-shirt, go into one of our other videos. Any other video we've got, right on the very top, it shows you the link to buy a t-shirt. Not this video because I haven't put it up yet and it's hard to put up. You ever get the fuzzies? I got the fuzzies so bad right now. Like from just doing that 2-hour interview and doing this thing, because I appreciate talking to you. And most of the time I could stay on for like 4 hours, but for whatever reason, yeah. Anyway, do you just do interviews? No, I do. We do interviews and we do current music news. That's why today we thought we'd come on. Usually I would come down in the basement and do a thing and say, Led Zeppelin, this and that. I'm going, why not just talk to you guys about it? That's why. But we always veer off for 90 minutes. You're always going to get the people who say, what the hell, 90 minutes to talk about Zeppelin? Well, we talked about all kinds of stuff. That's what we do. Thank you as always. Thank you. Is it Life Track? I want to name some of you guys. Uncle Dan. Go get something to eat. Yeah, I'm going to go get something to eat. Anyway, see you guys. Love you guys. I really appreciate you. I really do appreciate. I hate putting my finger on here. Stop streaming.